Hi everyone, my name is Miss Blake. I am your instructor for Intro to Theater Online. Welcome to the class. This little welcome video is going to do the following things. I just want to say welcome to the class and kind of go through the book that you will need. I want to go through the syllabus and the course calendar and talk about those a little bit. I want to talk about reading responses and what those should look like, and finally talk about flipgrid, the first assignment, in case you've had any trouble with that. So the first thing is the book. The textbook you will need is this right here. It's Theater Collaborative Acts, the 4th edition, and the information is found on your syllabus, the ISBN number and things like that if you want to order it. It's also available in the bookstore. So get that as soon as possible because that first reading response is due on Tuesday of next week. So now that we've talked about the book, I want to talk about the syllabus and how to kind of navigate around the course a little bit. So if you go to the course, this is what it will look like. If you go right here to the My Instructor section, it will give you my information. So it will tell you my email address, my phone number for my office, where my office is, and my office hours. So you can come by and see me in the Ollie Center for Academic Excellence, which is that tall building right across the street from Bud's. So if you come on and you're looking and there's the gas station on the right, that first building over here right across the street is where my building is, and you can come and, help me eat some of this candy that I have in my office. If you ever want to see me, those are my office hours. Come visit me. Anytime you have a question or need any help with anything, I'm happy to help you. So that is instructor information where you can access that. And something to note about that is if you're going to email me, make sure to email sjblake@carlalbert.edu and not the course email, because that doesn't give me a notification. So it may take a lot longer for me to respond and see that. So just go ahead and straight email sjblake@carlalbert.edu and not through the course email where I don't get a notification for that. So now that we've talked about that, let's go back and look at the syllabus. That's where you can find it. You can click on it right there, and it should download into a Word document, and you can read through all of that. It has all that information on there for you again. This is how you're going to earn your grade in this class. So that first one right there I want to talk about in more depth because that's reading responses, and that's 30% of your grade. So those reading responses are going to be important to learn about right off the bat because they're going to be necessary to do a lot of things in this class. So if you go to Start Working and Welcome Week Module 1, you can find reading response information right here, and I highly recommend that you read all of this before you write your first reading response. Because what's very, very important about the reading response information is that you craft that response like it's an essay and not like you're just randomly putting information down. So the reading responses need to be full, complete, thought out things where they have an introductory paragraph that's going to talk about what you will talk about in the response. And it has paragraphs that answer each question or paragraphs that address each thing that you're going to talk about. And you have citations from the textbook to support your opinions and to give examples of why you think what you think. And that's going to be important to have in there. It has to have a conclusion as well that sums up everything. So it should be a full reading response and not just random bits of information. So if you want to even learn more about that reading response information, then you can look at a reading response example. So a reading response sample paper on why we crave horror movies. Here is some, introduction example that has good body evidence, a topic sentence, all that stuff if you need a refresher on that. And here's the reading response rubric. So if you want to know what's a good reading response, what's going to get me 9 or 10 points as an A, what's going to get me a B, what's going to get me a C, a D, and an F. These are the descriptions of what's going to earn that. So is it thought-provoking? It goes above and beyond just answering the question. It tries to motivate discussion and response and approaches the topic thoughtfully and uniquely. So that A is going to really, it's going to go above and beyond answering. It's going to have specific citations. It's going to have a unique approach and a thoughtful response. A B is going to respond appropriately, thoroughly, and respectfully. Doesn't really require any further thought from the reader. So it's just like, here's a summary, it's kind of there. A C completes the assignment but provides obvious information or answers, lack of depth and reasoning and thought. you can see a D and an F, what that is going to give you. So when you are crafting your reading responses, you really need to be thinking about what level is this at, because that's the rubric I'm going to use to grade those responses. So if you have questions on how to go and do your reading response, or a little bit more about the course, you can look right, you can look right here under Start Working. That's Welcome Week 1. And then your rest of your course will be broken down into modules that will have like chapters 1 through 4 and kind of information. So right now I've only got 2 in there. I'm still working on tweaking 3 and 4. But chapter 1, you will have, here's a reading response that has those questions I'm going to ask you. You click to launch. You click on the response and you create a thread. You do have to create a thread before you can see other students' responses. So the subject should be your name. So your name here, you would type in your name, and then you can, I would recommend copy and pasting in from a Word document here so that you can kind of know how many words you have and you've been able to think about it and write it in a more thoughtful way. So I recommend doing that for those. So the modules will include short videos of me lecturing that I will pop in chapter 1 and 2 soon. And it will have the reading response, it will have the quiz, and it will have any additional information or assignments that you will need to have for that chapter. So we're going to try to do all reading responses. You can look at the calendar at the end of the syllabus. All reading responses are going to be Tuesdays at midnight, and all discussions to those are going to be by Friday at midnight. So we'll have a few days in there to respond to each other. So make sure that you get those all completed, and every assignment does have a 12-hour grace period. So if something comes up and you can't post by Tuesday at midnight, as long as you get it in by noon on Wednesday, then you will be fine and you will not be penalized. After noon on Wednesday, because you know in advance, then I will not accept any late reading responses or discussions or anything like that. Due to the nature of the course, if we got to stay together, right? So if we're on chapter 1, here we go. If you're behind, then you're not really engaging with your classmates. So we need to make sure that we all stay together. So that's that information. The last thing I want to talk about is the Flipgrid assignment. So when you go to the Welcome Week 1 and you click on Flipgrid, this will take you to a Flipgrid tutorial that will tell you how to download and make Flipgrid. So I would highly recommend watching that if you haven't used Flipgrid before. And then here is where you will introduce yourself on Flipgrid. So you want to go to this section and log in with your Google ID, or what might be easier to show you all is going to be like if you have it on your phone, because I think most of you probably will do that, then you will do the following. So if you have Flipgrid on your phone, it should just look like, oh, that's a weird one, that little Flipgrid. You click on Flipgrid, and right here at the top, you can enter a flip code. So right there is where you're going to tap in, and you're going to look back. What is your flip code? And you can see that it is 3A96DC9B. And you're going to hit that little arrow that's going to take you there. And then once you do that, you're going to be right there in the space, and you just tap on this button right here, this green button, and it will pop up to record yourself. So then you can submit your video and you can upload it. So that's what you need to do this week to introduce yourself to your other classmates, and make sure you like or comment on their videos as well. So I hope this video has helped you in some way on kind of navigating the course. If any of you have any questions at all, don't hesitate to contact me at sjblake@carlalbert.edu or give me a call at 918-647-1452. That's my office phone number. During my office hours when I'm in here, I can talk to you on the phone if that's going to help you in any way. So again, welcome to the class, and I hope that we learn a lot together.